Well, a great start for the boys on Nemiga in our second series. A very dominant performance, 27-minute victory from them. We're looking over towards the second game now to see what one move are going to be able to do to adapt. Danog, what are we going to look at? If there's a couple things that we should mention, do we start from the draft, or do we feel like it's a little bit more of a gameplay thing that we don't have to mention too much about some draft adaptations?
Did they have second pick in that first game? Because they got it this game. I want to say yes. Yeah, Melreen picked the Pango on 8.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, can't be that fixing it around. I mean, the reason that we both thought that one move had a really good draft, I think it was just small decisions in the lead up to that point that just made it a little bit harder for them to get to that. And, we know that they're capable of being like a top 3 team within this region, and that's why we're so disappointed when things like that happen, where, just a couple of small things. It happened in the previous series as well, right? Couple of small mistakes in the laning phase or around a key team fight can just balloon into so much more, and real damn fast. I mean, 27-minute GG. Most of the games today have been pretty quick.
Like you said, just a couple of small mistakes, one team fight. That's it. Really, that fight was Roche. Wipe the slate clean. Look at this next game. You had a lineup that was able to excel. You just messed up on a couple of things. Nothing crazy. This sort of team with high caliber players, and still one that you'd have to feel pretty confident coming into it. So set yourselves up with a strong draft, which, like you said, we both felt like they did. So I guess we just need to look towards maybe what they want to do in the first phase. And what was it? A monkey? Was it monkey? Actually, I don't even remember now. What was it?
Was it monkey CM? I think it was.
Did they first phase the monkey?
I want to say no. There was the first pick coming. It was Mag CM.
Thank you. Which I don't hate. Like, I'm still a big fan of it overall. So we'll see what they want to do for one move. Of course, again, they are 2-0. Nemiga 1 and 2 currently with the series count. But I wonder if you give Melrine his Pango, because again, that's another game where we see first phase Pango for him, and he really popped off on that hero. I think had a great performance. So I wonder if one move maybe changed it up a little bit. Because you ban the Pango, then something slips through. Maybe you steal the Pango yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see why you would want to do that. But again, like, can you do that in the first phase when you don't have the last pick of it? I'm not quite so certain. We've seen people counter it with things like the Ember Spirit. We've seen the Bloodseeker look to counter it. I just think there's a little bit too much out there to be able to address the hero.
Yeah. So that's at least the one thing right now with where it feels like it's, even after the changes, the fact we're still getting a Pango first phase is pretty crazy. I mean, IceFrog tried to nerf it, tried to do it as best as he could, tried to do it with some of the other heroes as well. We're still getting the Elk, still getting the Doom, still getting the Pango. So still some of them are strong. At least it doesn't feel like they're uber busted as well. Medusa hasn't been touched as well. So at least we're not getting any of the Snake Lady today.
It's been banned a little bit though, so that's part of the reason. I really don't think you can pick it into these heroes that love building into the mana burn as well, like the Pango. Like I think we saw in that China game that you and I were watching, like FY played Wind Ranger and just went the Diffuser Blade against the Deuce, because that's a pretty effective way to be able to just focus in onto one hero, make that your sole job in a team fight. Land off a shackle shot and then just go straight in.
It's good to see some of the boys as well back in the China region. I know, of course, it's a different region, but good to see some of those members playing together, Somnus, Chalice, and FY as well. So it's going to be exciting to see the continuation with the run of that new roster, but that's a different region. We don't have to worry about that too much until we get to the land settings. For at the moment, of course, both sides, that's really where their attention is going to be, both for Nemiga and one move. Like we've been saying, I mean, Eastern Europe with 3 slots, and one thing I was trying to bring up earlier in the cast is, like, who do we feel like is the second strongest region? And I feel like there's a lot of potential for this region to over Europe in a couple of years, year even, but maybe going with this development. Big thing for them is just Spirit winning TI to really help the scene overall. We're seeing Melreen, Kiyotaka as well.
Yeah, I mean, Kiyotaka has been around for a bit, but he's getting recognized a lot more, you know, and part of that is also, you know, we've got some of the players being exported to other regions as well. Obviously, Ramses did it when he went to Old EG, Nightfall, same sort of thing. Now they're back in the region, which is good, you know, being able to draw a lot of inspiration from their experiences in these other regions. But, I mean, we've even got Duracho, of course, 2-time major winner now, and really just going to show that there is a ton of untapped talent in the region. Right now, you've got the big 3 teams, but for One Move, they want to be one of those teams as well, and the way that you do that is getting LAN experience. The way that you do that is by beating teams like Nemiga, who, I don't want to say they would have penciled this one down as a win, but you got to win. And Nemiga, they're fighting for their lives in Division 1 right now. They're 1 and 2. They want to go to 2 and 2 and give themselves a little bit of a safety net.
I'm trying to just remember who they verse. So they verse Hydra, Pandas, and
Dire team ban.
they beat the other Div 2 promotee team.
What's their name?
Hang on, I gotta say it a couple times in my head
Alaikum.
before we. Thank you. You said it for myself. So there we go. All right, we got the draft underway. I just wanted to double check if they verse a lot of the stronger teams at the moment. Nemiga still got to verse Spirit. You still got to go through VP and BetBoom. So and it's not an easy road in Eastern Europe at all. But we do have our second draft underway. Storm Spirit Beastmaster banned from Nemiga.
Same.
The Doom and the Timber from One Move as well.
Is it the same as game 1? There was definitely a Doom and a Timber gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I will double check now though.
I mean, do we need to talk about this techies here anymore? I mean, I feel like Eastern Europe was the region picking it all the time when no one else was, and now it's just busted. And so everyone's like, oh, actually, this hero's pretty good. And, I mean, for good reason, right? You're so flexible, you can do so much with so little. You don't need to focus on buffing yourself up. You can still just do so much damage off the back of your spells from a really safe range as well. You basically get to choose when you take team fights, and even just small things like using proximity mines as not smoke breakers, but smoke indicators can be so effective.
I think there's, yeah, well, we saw that earlier today, right? Had the victory, then it was an instant first phase ban after that. So we'll see if it's going to be given over to Afterlife in the off lane or what position they want to put the Spirit Breaker. But of course, there's going to be some flex there. Regardless, you're probably looking to pick up a support for One Move.
What can they look to go for, though, is my main question. Like, I think their main thing is, like, all right, what support can actually handle playing into the techies? I really think the way that you got to do it is just be as aggressive as you can. You know, get on top of the techies and kick heroes that have the capability to do it. Either ones that have some sort of movement spell for themselves, like, I don't know, a Tusk or something like that. But Techies has pretty decent armor, so even that's not going to be uber effective, and Tusk's not really meta right now. Or, again, I didn't hate the CM last time around. I think CM is a pretty decent answer to the Techies, as long as you've got a core that's able to join you when you go for more aggressive moves. Makes a lot of sense, right? Even just with the SB, means that you don't even need to go into, like, too much mana regen. We've seen, like we saw in that previous one, the Phylactery now giving a little bit of mana regeneration, but Arcane Aura helps too.
10 seconds remaining.
So do we feel like with the difference with the Spirit Breaker instead of the Magnus, is that enough to stop Nemiga from going Pango?
Team ban.
I don't think so.
Dire team
I think it's just a solid enough hero. There were some decent RPs, and there were RPs that were, like, so close to being able to land. Like, if you just had a look at the KDA, it was, like, 0, 6, and 1 on the Magnus, and I think he had the lowest damage on his team. But it didn't really feel like that, you know? It felt like he did contribute a fair amount to a lot of these team fights. It's just that the full connection from the entire team wasn't there, you know?
So again, it's going to be probably the same second phase of bans. There's the Bloodseeker and the Ember to try and protect.
Makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking as well, like, could they consider picking something that just does a really good job of shoving mid lane too? I know Puck kind of did that, and Void Spirit can do it, yada yada yada, but to me, one of Pango's big strengths is it's good in lane, it's good in team fights, but just how effective you are off the back of a really early rotation. And I think you just got to make him hurt as much as possible if he does try to go for that. But the question is, like, who does well in lane against that sort of thing and can also push the lane and then in the game. Like, you might say Leshrak's pretty decent at that for 2 out of the 3, but then he builds Diffusal Blade and your life's a lot more miserable, you know? So Death Prophet's pretty decent at that, but then you can't really use your Spirit Siphon in lane because Pango's got movement spells. So it's like, well, is there a good answer to it? Not really. Ember's probably the best one and they've gotten rid of it.
And even you first phase banned Storm, which is one of Aincrad's better heroes, and it's a pretty decent response to the Pango. So it's already like now you got 3 heroes that are banned out. You're probably going to protect it again. So it might leave once again the Puck as one of the better options for one move, but we're not going to see it at the 15th. I think more than... Actually, what do you pick here? Do you go... Because...
You want to keep the flexibility of the Spirit Breaker. I know what you're saying. I think you
go your mid, yeah? Because you already see the Pango.
I'm kind of tempted to... I'm a little inspired by that Kiyotaka game. I kind of want to see an Invoker. You know, with the point in the Wex now, you can pop the Alacrity and push the lane because, you know, the Pango's rotating. You're not. You can shove the wave out with a Forge Spirit and Alacrity on yourself. And even just the Tornado for the Shield Crash buff to be able to dispel it off. That feels pretty good to me. So I really... don't think it would be the worst. Even just Frostbite into the Sunspike feels pretty decent.
Oracle ban.
Radiant team pick.
Puck.
Puck.
Same.
Of course, the Sky ban definitely protects the Puck, but what do we make of the Oracle?
Bulldoze? Is it a core SB?
10 seconds remaining.
Maybe they're worried about like...
more of a
5 seconds
protective
remaining.
Oracle as opposed to like just an offensive one to enable them to chase down kills. Like, they got decent damage on Nemiga right now, so they should be able to convert a lot of kills, and maybe they were just wanting to... I mean, Oracle does dish out a fair amount in the early-ish stages of the game, you know? Lots of burst, and that's kind of what Techies and Pango do too.
So let's see what the response is going to be for Nemiga. Again, you're now going up against a Puck, so you're going to have to try and have some heroes with some catch. Disruptor is one of them. You can go back and forth the matchup versus the Puck.
With the... It's made harder a lot for the Disruptor by the fact that there's a Spirit Breaker in the game.
Yeah.
You know, that makes you feel pretty damn miserable. Yeah, you could, you know, glimpse them away if you've got some decent vision, and, you know, maybe they will off the back of, like, you know, some deeper Observer Wards that you might usually place. I think you've just got to be really good at predicting where exactly the SB is going to go. Is there anyone else that can really take advantage of the vision being provided? Okay. Morphling, I mean, SB is pretty good to be able to morph into, so I think they're just saying, look, it doesn't really matter if it's position 3 or position 4, we still feel like this one's going to be quite good for us.
10 seconds.
Let's see if they're going to try and reveal the Spirit Breaker now or not. It feels like that should be a pretty strong lane, right? Morph Disruptor versus SB +1. There's much kill threat.
I just think, like, my thought process is, can they do a Darkseer? Because that might also be the potential for the Oracle ban, like why they did that.
Yep. I like that call. Of course, matches up pretty well versus the Morphling. Very good to be able to get one of his illusions. You got some combo with the Puck as well.
Even just surging a CM once she's got the shard can be pretty nice. Zip around with that freezing field feels pretty good.
So I think there's a couple of routes you can go. You pick your carry because you already see the matchup, or you go your off lane, reveal the Spirit Breaker flex, and then you go to the Darkseer route. So very good call. You've got a pretty strong lane now. I think it's going to be a farm back and forth. How does the Morphling Darkseer lane isn't too like crazy fade, right? Both should be able to find farm, yeah?
Both should be able to find farm. It really is dependent on like who hits level 3 first, basically. So like Morphling, obviously a little bit for the strength morph, but Darkseer, he wants to be diving deep. He wants to be shoving the lane in. And against a Disruptor, not really known for being the best at shoving lanes out. It's kind of similar to whenever you're going up against a Doom. You don't want him to hit level 3 and have creeps hitting into your tower, because then he's just going to run at you. Doesn't even need to right-click you. It's the same sort of thing with the Darkseer and the Ion Shell, right? He's just going to toss it onto the
10
Spirit Breaker,
seconds
toss it onto
remaining.
himself, you'll charge in, you'll surge yourself, and people just explode.
5 seconds
No, not explode.
remaining.
They die from a million cuts. There's no real, there's no real
Radiant team back.
dispellers left in this game, huh? Like offensive dispellers for the Bulldoze, for the Ion Shell, for the Surge, to make things a little bit more challenging. Morph isn't exactly the greatest nullifier builder. I guess Pango can eventually, but it doesn't feel that great. It's a lot of
10
magic damage at the
seconds
moment, though,
remaining.
for one move. So I guess they're just perhaps considering that
5 seconds remaining.
in you know, what do we really need to address early on. Last time around, it was Techies that actually, did he end up finishing the pipe, or was he just going towards it? Nah, the game finished quickly enough that he didn't get to finish it. Just had the cloak by the end of it all. But any pipe builder would feel real nice against this.
I'm trying to rack my brain of what's left for Vajra. I mean, we sure, of course, prior the Death Prophet. It's definitely a little bit different of a game though from Nemiga. You just dropped the Morphling to play with instead of what you had previously. Monkey Ricky Band. So I do think one move are looking for like a melee hero. Want to try and pair that up with the Darkseer.
Sure. Let's go. I'm really just thinking, like, can you afford to go an LC, but or do you
10
feel like you're
seconds
lacking
remaining.
the damage? It's going to be one
5
move with the last
seconds
pick overall, right? So then I feel like it goes either way. It means that you probably don't pick a melee hero to be able to combine together with a Darkseer, but then are you still happy with that, because then you're going to have a ranged hero into a Legion commander, which feels a lot more solid, you know?
I think one melee that still comes to mind is Sven for one move.
Radiant team pick.
So it's, of course, a lot of it's going to depend on what they get for Vajra. I mean, that's the beautiful thing for them. Munkushi is going to be able to get the counter pick. So Underlord and Axe are both banned out at the moment, and we're going to get Magnus. So you, of course, Morphling's one of the better like ranged heroes to be able to combine with the Mag, just with your high base damage. So we'll get some value out of the Empower, the Pango as well, to give you a lot of team fight prowess.
10 seconds.
I wonder if they're
remaining.
considering, like, they couldn't Juggernaut here, could they?
5 seconds remaining.
Not horrible into the Pangolier for sure. Is it going to be something as well that's just really beefy against the Disruptor, so you don't really care if you get Static Storm? Really nice call on the Sven, dude. Just to be able to just surge him in and get a lot of that burst happening, right? Like off the back of a successful charge, off the back of a Dream Coil. The lane, like, we kind of saw what happened last time around, right? You were going up against with the Juggernaut a Magnus, and it really wasn't that effective for the laning stage, right? Once the game broke open, sure, but something like a Sven means that you could just deal that damage in real quick. Again, it's more stuff that's going to protect you against a decent amount of physical damage coming through with a Warcry too. So yeah, I like this pick from Munkushi.
I think it's one of the few heroes that doesn't worry too much about the high armor from the Morph, because you're able to just blow him up. Like, you can
10
come
seconds remaining.
out of blink stun, or you can come out of like Silver's Edge and catch the Morphling off guard. So I think that's the one nice thing, where you just have an overwhelming amount of damage, but sometimes not even enough for the Morph to be able to survive through. And you have a hero that's going to be able to, I think, just important, like stack clearing heroes at the moment is something that we're going to need to look towards with that buff with the experience. So Sven is definitely one of them who's going to be loving life if they're able to make stacks for one move. But we saw last game, they had kind of a wombo combo lineup where they had a lot of team fighting heroes, but they weren't able to combine it together. Let's see if this game's going to be any different. Because again, you've got Vacuum into Sven, into Puck combo, you know, with the Spirit Breaker in the middle as well. So let's see if this time it might be a little bit different with their team fight execution.
Gives them another decent hero to get into with the Aghanim Scepter on the Morph, though, doesn't it? Like, going into the Sven, becoming Superman, feels kind of nice, but we'll see. We'll see. He's going to have many, many options.
Yes, he will indeed. So, before we get into the game, how do we feel about this one? Because again, both of us in game one liked One Move's draft. Are we going to favor their draft again in their second game?
Sure. I think they got the stuff.
Sure. You feel like they have the stuff, so we'll see if they do indeed. First, a word from EDB.
Bets on esports, bets on streamers, impressive bonus system. Welcome bonus up to $600. Cashback, artifacts, regular promotions, daily giveaways. Try yourself as a bookmaker. Great lines. EGB.com, more than just a bookmaker.
I know what it is, man. Back-to-back games. A lot of tips going out early on to start. And it's pretty vocal with each other. Of course, I mean, favoring Nemiga at the moment. They're going to be the ones happy with the position they're in with this game advantage. Are you happy, Danog? This time there's no smoke from Nemiga.
I'm always happy. Sorry, I'm just taking time to have a look at what that voice line actually means. I think it's like, Grandpa, I can't swim, is what it means in Swedish. Really? Yeah.
Damn. While you're doing that, I was looking at the odds. It looks like it once again was favoring One Move, even though they was unable to come out on top in that game one. So it was the same as the previous game, right? I think it was.
It was like 1.5 to 2 or something like that.
So we shall see if it's going to be any different for them in this upcoming game. Nothing too crazy. What do we make of the wards? We saw a lot of kind of back and forth between them previously to try and posture for that setup. Do we feel like there's any key vision that's down at the moment?
I'm still wanting mid laners to get a little bit more creative with their mid vision, right? Like, just with how big sentries are now, you know, they have such a big range on them that it's going to be really, really... Like, 2 basically covers the entire mid lane. So something like what Malrina's put up on the Radiant side of the map, it's nice just to be able to cover any sort of rotation towards him and still gets coverage of that bottom rune. But if the Dire is able to put a ward right there, it does all of that plus give vision of the enemy mid laner, which is so vital.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that ward. I think early on it's very difficult for you to be able to get information up on high ground. Like, you kind of are forced to put a sentry there. Not everyone has abilities, all 4 abilities to be able to catch out some of the vision. So, like, it's still gonna take a long time, right? This is new patch, new map. Even though we've been on it for a couple of weeks now, so it's gonna, the supports need to geek out and find all these crazy wards.
What do you think is the first thing I did, dude?
Yeah, just run across the map.
Pretty much. Look at some of the great YouTube content creators as well. They've got some good little tips and tricks.
Who's the go-to?
I like he didn't have one about wards, but there's a guy called like Dismantled that I really like. The icon is a mantle of intelligence.
Kushi? Alright, first blood picked up, but it's going to be the Sven. He's able to find it. Vajra does have a level advantage, so should be able to get a decent chunk of damage into Munkushi. Won't be able to get the kill, but he's got no more regen to play with. Pantomin's going to be forced to give him some tangos.
It was so vital that he got that as well. There was a full, like, creep wave and a half underneath the tower, and he's even getting a few creeps denied in his face as well by Vajra up on that top side, but... Well, first blood on a Sven feels pretty nice. Bottom side as well, I'm really going to be interested to see what the skill build is from Sobat. A lot of the time, you just go like this cookie cutter build where it's like 1 point Thunderstrike, 2 points Glimpse. I really feel like he needs to put a point into the kinetic field as well at level 3, just because you know that they're going to be running at you once that level 3 comes up in the Darkseer.
No, I like the call-up. This lane can be pretty volatile. It feels like there's a lot of potential for you to kill the Disruptor if he's caught out of place. And if Dai get also a lot of levels as well, you can also chase down the Morphling. Even though he waveforms away, you can still close the distance. So I think we are going to get a lot of action, in particular with this bottom lane.
Nothing in the waveform just yet, but Adaptive Strike, if you're pretty Strength Morph, does a decent job at being able to keep them pressured away. Of course, that's where the bonus to Agility and Strength comes from these days as well. So nice little stats boost for Violent, and making it a bit easier for him to secure last hits in the lane. You can just see they're even grouping up towards this Lotus area, not wanting to give it over to Gilgib for free on the bottom side. Panto able to make usage out of that Harpy creep as well. Just keep the lane pushed back as much as possible towards Munkushi.
Does mean though Nemiga going to be able to get the Lotus up top though, so Vaj's got that little bit of extra region to work with, and
the Hound Camp.
yeah, that's really nice for them. Going to be able to reset the equilibrium, and we'll take a little bit of damage here from the Magnus though. Considering about turning back onto the Crystal Maiden, Hellscream's going to be able to land the combo, and with a skill from the left side, Vajja is able to clean up Panto. It's actually Hellscream that's rewarded with a kill.
It's really awesome timing for that move as well, because that's all happening while that that hard camp is taking away the majority of the creep wave. So not only do you lose a hero, but Munkushi misses out on basically half a creep wave. And he was very survivable on Vajra as well. He had the Lotus, he got given over a Tango, he had, I want to say, 12 one charges, so just perfect timing on that move from Nemiga.
And with that action going on up top, we also saw a kill down bottom, so it was Violent that was able to get it onto Mr. Gilgear. Of course, he's going to be able to chug back to the lane. Nothing too crazy. It does look like mid's pretty comfortable between both the heroes as well. So, I mean, we saw last game there was a lot of emphasis from the supports to secure the runes and even sticking around for a little bit longer. So, I mean, this game, looking at the 4s and 5s from either side, like anyone's going to have an easy time to be able to connect to mid to play with the mid laners.
I kind of feel like SoBad has to stay in this bottom side just to provide a little bit of extra protection to Violent, at least until he gets into that Morbid Mask. You know, it might not be the 6-minute power rune, maybe the 8-minute one is the one where he really looks to try and enable the Pango at this time. So, could be Hellscream looking to pick that one up, and, well, speaking of Vajra, he's only about 150 gold away from the Vanguard, so I think he's definitely going to have that capability enabled to just be kept solo, even up against a Sven CM, which isn't a horrible kill lane.
Ooh, very close. One thing I just noticed, Hellscream was already starting to...
The voice line.
I didn't even... What? Damn, I didn't even know he had a voice line like that.
You're going to be a mag player now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great voice line to spam out. We already see the stack starting to get made for Hellscream, but I guess one disadvantage with playing this melee 4 is that it's much more difficult for the Spirit Breaker to make stacks, which again is so vital when you have a Sven. Like, this hero thrives when you're able to increase his net worth. We'll see. Panto's in some trouble trying to sidestep the skill, but Vajra is going to be on the mark. Denial will not be there. Of course, it does put the attention elsewhere from securing the runes. In fact, Aincrad, if wanting to snipe the kill into Hellscream as he's moving over inside the river, Core's going to be expended for that, but a freebie for the puck.
Lane was already pretty heavily pushed in. Melrine maybe just wanting to get a little bit closer to the courier, which I believe was delivering the Orb of Corrosion. Maybe shoving out that lane one more time, but...
Whoa! Oh, that was really cool. I think it was a vacuum just before the charge connected with a slight stun. And Gilgear's positioning with a charge from behind caught him off guard too. Really beautifully done from Gilgear and Afterlife together.
Nicely done. I mean, this is part of the reason why I was talking about SoBad needing to stay in the lane, right? That sort of thing can happen, obviously off the back of a really big play. It's not something that you would commonly expect to see. Even, have a look at that, putting a second point in the Thunderstrike as well on SoBad, realizing how important it is just to keep this lane shoved away from the tower.
Is under attack.
What do we make of Panto being down bottom?
I guess they're feeling strong enough to be able to go for a kill right now. Anytime that you're, getting a kill onto the Morphling, if you can just double down on that and look to put him further in the bin. At least now he's got the Morbid Mask, so he can afford to go into the jungle and pick up a lot of farm this way. Doesn't feel quite so bad, but, a kill on a hero that's just TP back to the lane always feels pretty good.
Yeah. And the Sven's going to be able to shove out the lane as well and go back and farm the jungle. Makushi's even going to pop the God Strength to further enable that, so...
Dire's top tower is under
See what they're going to be able to continue to do. Gilgear drops a deep Observer Ward.
As soon as Violent shows up in that lane, they just straight up ping him. Lane's fairly pushed too. Doesn't look like they'll be able to claim it.
Be very cautious though. Melrine always ready to be able to rotate in. Has it all, but corrosion completed. Level 7 as well, so max out Swashbuckle. He's going to be pumping in a lot of damage, and Afterlife's going to get glimpsed back close to the tower. Violence starting to tick him low, but he's got the Vanguard, of course, to protect him.
Ankrat's playing this so well, man. Just constantly getting these little steals off. You've got Panto making the rotation through as well.
Yeah, with Coil.
It's a 2-man shield crash hit, though.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
At least it wasn't able to play around with the bottle, so Marion's going to go all the way back to base. It's going to free up one move a little bit to make something happen across the map.
Gilgit's just yoinking some of the farm away from Violet. Why not?
Yeah.
Slow down the Morphling relative to the Sven, and you're going to have a pretty decent time. Almost wonder as they've actually made a bit of a pull happen inside of the jungle. So now you've got level 6 on the Darkseer. It doesn't have the greatest mana pool to be able to play around with, at least until he gets into those arcane boots for himself. But really just trying to dodge out this lane as much as possible now. Not going to be the case, though.
Oh, Gilgit might go down as well. They're going to drop the wall, but that won't really help them out too much. Nice rotation. Marine to bottom. They're able to get the kill. Couple ultimates expended. They're a little bit cautious as well from some rotations. They see Aincrad along with Panto starting to move down southern side of the map, so they're going to play accordingly on Nemiga.
Doesn't feel great for the Darkseer, but most of the time we don't exactly see him have like an amazing time in the lane. Obviously, if you chain kill into kill, can look to snowball off the back of that, but he does have the capability of catching up in farm and really influencing those team fights later on.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Back down bottom for Afterlife. I think he's just going to need to be a little bit more passive for this next bit, but the bit that I'm concerned about is that Puck will only really have a CM to be able to play around with. Spirit Breaker not going to have the greatest level of impact, at least for those first few Dream Coils.
But he will have maxed out Iron Shell, right? Like, surely that's where maybe some of the extra damage will come through. I guess we need to get to that stage just yet. As well, inside the river, a lot of damage onto the Pangolier early on. They're going to drop the coil. It's only Gilgi here at the moment to follow up the Glink. Send Aincrad over to the north. Still the Frostbite holds him down. So able to get the kill nonetheless onto Malorine, and they'll continue about chasing him out. So the deck is down as well as Hellscream stays alive for a decent chunk of time. It's going to enable Vazhi to look to try and hit back, and they will be able to get the kill onto Gilgis, who are in the end of 2 for 1, but of course that's going to heavily favor one move as they're able to finally slow down Malorine's game.
Aincrad didn't have the blinkers on either. He made sure, even so close to that team fight, most of the time you look at a person doing this a core and say, bro, Puck, you're right here, help the team fight, but that SB was dead, and much more value was to be gained from Aincrad just shoving in that lane and keeping the siege creep alive as well. So would look to potentially get a little bit of damage in onto the tower if they just shove it in one more time.
It's a juicy stacks down bottom. Afterlife's actually going to try and take the hard stack, so...
He's got Vanguard, he'll be fine.
Yeah, and also had a bit more of a rougher game. Even once the Ancients is... Are you greedy, greedy man? Sven's like, come on, boys, really? Those stacks...
They smoked him.
I guess you just double shell, yeah.
Shell one of the creeps. Let them commit creep genocide.
Creep genocide. So do you play with a Darkseer now with shell, or do you just like Spirit Breaker run past, give him the shell, and then look to play away from this bottom side?
Yeah, I don't think you need to play with each other right now. Just use the shell. Let yourself pick up a lot of the farm as well. I don't think he wants another instance saw last game, right? Where you mentioned before that fight at bottom tier 1 tower for Radiant, Afterlife was #1 on net worth, and then he quickly dropped down to 5th off the back of a single rotation that didn't work out. So, Morphling.
He got the Strength Morph out. The damage is going to be enough. Great reactions out of Violent. That was a lot committed. Coil along with the wall, and still 4 heroes down here. They want to try and continue to put some pressure onto the Morphling to help secure the tower. They've got the catapult wave. Violent falling lower and lower. Malorine's going to try and even TP in as well to provide some assistance. Frostbite's there to hold him down.
Support's doing it.
Have they got the control though? Static Storm's going to give Malorine an opportunity to turn with the Rolling Thunder. He's only going to turn to Panto though. It's not the greatest target to use all your spells on, but nonetheless, they'll get the kill into the Crystal Maiden, but still, a 1-for-1 trade will heavily favor one move.
Ends up getting the tower. Not quite. Raja still able to keep that one pressured away, but...
It's a big shield crash. Is it enough, though? They're wrapping around. Even the techies is coming along with Vazhi. He's hoping for a beautiful angle for the RP. They might be able to find it onto Aincrad. Orbs at the ready, though, so Puck should be able to get some separation. Vazhi's still hunting. The Juke on down, and meanwhile, over to the south, we saw Gilgir They were at least able to get the finishing blow onto the Spirit Breaker, but you got to say one move is incredibly happy with that. Munkushi is a free farming top lane. Sven is loving life right now.
Yeah, we just keep looking at this Morphling as like running away, basically, and it's nothing that do about it. You know, you're just going up against a Spirit Breaker Darkseer lineup with a puck that just has absolutely no cares. So a lot of that space given over to Munkushi, even without the stacks, he's just farming these neutral creeps with reckless abandon. Still look to join in the team fights though, right? Like if a fight happens relatively close by to you, then just put a surge onto the Sven. He's going to have the Echo Saber, and yeah, the odds slightly further favoring one move here than the very start of the game. Still only a 1k net worth lead though. Really go either way.
Potentially kill onto Gilgears. I'll offset some of this. Oh, I thought the Static Storm clicked onto the puck as well, just on the outskirts. Means that Aincrad's going to be okay for the moment. They're considering about going back onto the Pango. Panther wanted Aincrad to help out, but the coil, maybe it's enough.
Panther, what a Chad.
What a play from them, keeping him inside long enough for the Crystal Maiden. But the one to actually pumping the damage. Meanwhile, top lane actually, Sven almost getting a solo kill. Vajra forced to use the RP defensively just to hold back Munkushi.
Have the power of that Echo Saber. I was thinking Panto might be getting a little bit cheeky, might also say, hey, there's a Wisdom Rune up that no one might have claimed just yet because everyone was being revealed on the map. Let's see if I can go snatch it away, but will probably be Vajra that ends up picking that one up.
And we're going to see one move try and sweep around with this smoke. It's going to be Gilgear and Aincrad in combination together. Smoke's going to pop on the techies, so it looks like unfortunately they're just going to have to get the kill. Onto the support. They would have loved the juicy target, but won't be able to see an opportunity for that. With Nemiga being down 2,000 gold, what do we feel like the game plan is for them? Because often we see with the Magnus lineup, like this is, teams really like to play more the farm-intensive style. Do we feel like that's kind of the route back in for Nemiga?
Well, you got to have balance for it, right? As, well, poor So Bad is about to die again. Mag is close to being able to get the Pipe of Insight, right? He's just 1,200 gold away. Not super far. Same sort of thing with the Pango, right? He's got Diffusal Blade, so his damage output is spiked in a big way. Techies close to the Solar Crest, so someone like the Magnus with the maxed out Empower is actually going to deal a lot more damage than expected in these team fights. It's just...
Oh, they got it on... What? Man, Aincrad this game on the puck is playing out of his mind. I don't know how we got the silence onto the Morphling. Had no vision, just a blind waning rift, and... Oh, it's really feeling the pain this game.
Oh, he even gets a regen for his truffles on the bottom side of the map too.
Okay, so you just mentioned that there's kind of a... You play a fine line between the two, like fighting and farming. Now with these items getting picked up shortly from Nemiga, we might look to see them take some engagements, but where would you... Can they even decide where the fights are going to break out, or is it more like they just need to react to the eventual push that we see from one move?
I don't even know if they've got the greatest reaction team right now. Like, they do still need someone to give a bit of vision so that you get value out of the Disruptor. They fought CM, but it's just a CM.
Kushi's pretty deep, though. A great stun from Hellscream is going to stop them in their place. With the RP, disrupts the wall combo. Vajra's going to be able to turn it back around, but the Frostbite's even better. Pantomime once again with the ultimate, cutting away the health pool. Now Aincrad's going to find an opening towards the backline. Vaughn still with the turnaround potential. Great use of the replicant onto the Spirit Breaker. That's enough to keep them alive, but they still have the coil as well. Aincrad holding that to the last remaining seconds of the team fight. And there won't be an opportunity for the Skewer Racer. Once again, the freezing field from the Crystal Maiden was huge from Panto.
He's playing amazingly this game, isn't he? Just constantly setting himself up in the right spot. This time around, it feels like he's truly been enabled. And well, a lot of that was off the back of the Observer Ward that was placed down by Gilgear previously that was actually put down while the Watcher was up for Nemiga. So the fact that they didn't see that put down, I mean, you can't constantly be looking up the map, but maybe could have expected to see that one with that sort of deep movement in, but didn't end up scouting it out. Ends up being another team fight going overwhelmingly in one move's favor off the back of Munkushi diving in incredibly deep.
And now it's going to feel very difficult for them to play the map, right? Because you've got no T1 towers. You got a blink on Munkushi. Of course, we know how active Puck can get, and we've seen Spirit Breaker with Iron Shell just rip them apart. Gilgir's about to have a Shadow Blade as well, so it seems like Nemiga going to have a lot of difficulty with one move just running at them over the next couple of minutes.
You'll at least have the pipe for Magnus.
Might not have Pango though. A nice reaction out of Hellscream, able to set up for the Static Storm. You'll lose Malream, but you'll trade the life of the twos. And now Vaj is going to be able to get some revenge onto Pantomim as well, but they're looking to hit back as Afterlife and Gilgir once again.
Mukushi's here.
And the Mukushi's ready and waiting in the wings. A double stun. They're going to be able to stop some of the range out of the skill, but it might be enough to disrupt Munkushi.
No way.
He's still looking to chase down Vaj. A defensive RP. Where's the follow-up? They're going to try and skew it deep under the T2 tower. They got Violence going to be in with the waveform as well. Mukushi shrugging off the damage thanks to the war cry. It's going to be able to step on out, but it's not enough. Hellscream gets the kill in the end, and alright, a pretty decent fight from Nemiga.
And the best part of it all for Nemiga is that the Morphling survives the entire time. He comes over only at the very end, but he is still able to be part of that last little kill onto Munkushi, giving himself a lot of net worth, bringing himself up to that level 12. He will get the kill onto Gilgir as well. So Gilgir was able to pick up the Shadow Blade for himself, but it's not for no loss altogether. Such a deadly combo, isn't it? That Techie's Disruptor, just the sticky bomb latching onto somebody, basically providing a, here you go, here I am, glimpse me sort of target.
Hellscream's uber rich, what the hell?
Just...
yeah, and he also got 2 kills that fight, I suppose, which helps out. She'll take it. I mean, even so, Bad got the streak from Puck as well, so it was like 700 gold? Yeah, 795 that the Disruptor got, so he's already kind of halfway towards a Blink Dagger. We'll see what he's able to do with that. I mean, importantly, levels too. Hellscream's level 12, So Bad's level 11, so even with the fights that were going one move's way, still see Nemiga's supports are keeping up.
It's all about catching that puck, right? Like, he's not going to buy a... Probably not going to buy a Yule Scepter. He's not going to buy a BKB up against the Disruptor. So if you could just find that quick blink Static Storm onto him, especially once you hit level 15 for that extra 1.5 seconds, you can really just completely take a puck out of the fight, allow Morphling to blow him up. Are they considering Roche? Afterlife is scouting out a little bit with Munkushi. He has not been shy for popping that God Strength.
Not at all.
Pretty much on cooldown, just to be able to consistently farm, and they want to make sure that they can keep this map as far in their control as possible. But Nemiga, they've finally taken that first tier 1 tower. They're playing around the top side of the map. I was thinking maybe they might try and put one of those, the Mighty Mines Observer Ward up at the very top of the cliff there, just to be able to scout out this Munkushi Sven, because he has just been farming freely without too much opposition.
Well, let's see what the response is going to be from Nemiga. They did smoke up, but as soon as Roche was claimed, double back to continue to play behind Violent. They saw that they saw the Puck TP in, but there's going to be no response. So regardless, the T2 tower is going to go down. And
frees up a huge portion of the map, though,
yes,
to be able to play around with. Violent just has all of these top camps to be able to play through. His team has taken all of them in front of him. Hellscream takes a big chunky creep wave. I think that gives him his Glimmer Cape, though, so helps to be able to just provide that little bit of extra security to any of your cores that get jumped on. I mentioned before, they've got the Pipe available. Raj looking to scale with a Harpoon. We've got the Parvis as well on Disruptor going into that Blink Dagger, so there's a lot of survivability right now, and I do have to wonder, like, is there ever going to be a stage where someone's going to be able to build something like a Nullifier? Maybe the Sven, but it's going to be like 6th item.
I mean, even Nullify could be some... no one built it on Radiant, actually. I mean, there's a lot of value.
Maybe Pango. Yeah. Even the Magnus wouldn't be horrible, because you've got the Harpoon to instantly lock onto someone.
He's getting pretty close to... actually went Blink, okay. I was going to say getting pretty close to Gordy for one of the Harpoon, but opts for the Blink instead. Vaja is getting charged, though. As soon as he entered through the rift, York is hot on his tail. There's going to be no escape for him.
is under attack.
So an easy kill for them to... Dude, they're going to tip him before as well. Oh my god, surely not. That is, that's rough.
Is indeed. I mean, he's got the blink finished up. Mission accomplished bit there. They did pop the god strength for it, so yeah, why not? Keep this bottom tower push going.
Radiant's
As
bottom
more
tower
people
is under
take
attack.
farm from their position 1,
Radiant structures
as he's just trying to continue scaling. I mean, Mukushi's level 18. He's certainly keeping himself well ahead, 4 levels ahead of the Morphling at this stage. Just been completely unopposed after this laning stage, and I really feel like he's gotten everything right this time around. Skill build, item build, movements around the map, joining into team fights at the right time. He's been on point.
Yeah, that he has. All the boys on one move. Solid game from them so far. I mean, from what we saw prior in the previous game, there was a threat of them being able to have that wombo combo, and well, this game we've seen them execute fights incredibly well. They're still going to continue doing that though. 6,000 net worth lead is no slouch. 24 minutes in. I mean, Violet's almost got a Skadi, so he's continuing to find a lot of farm. Vaj is keeping up as well. There's still that potential for Nemiga as well to hit back.
Pango's got to be very careful as well, because, like, yeah, he's 1,400 away from being able to finish up that Aghanim Scepter, but until that point, Sven can blow you up. You know, he pops the God Strength, he pops the BKB, he's going to have a Surge on him, he's going to have a Solar Crest on him, he's just going to just annihilate you while you're in the Rolling Thunder, trying to create a lot of space during these team fights. They might try and follow the courier just to get a bit of an indication of where the Morphling is. Right now it's just hanging around at the secret shop buying a point booster, and a good little micro to be able to get it away. Is that the full Skadi? It is. So nicely done.
This could be a big ward though for one move to look to play with, the one that's dropped down over at Radiant's Triangle. Because again, we've spoken about how one move have this team fighting prowess, so around a choke point where they have the information. It'll be difficult for Nemiga to run up blind. And they even have a really nice ward that's going to scout out Vaj just shortly inside the bottom jungle area. So a lot of intelligence for Dai to work with.
To me, it's like, yes, the BKB is important on Vajra. It's all about getting Melrine to this Ags. Like, it is incredibly important. He's only 800 gold away. He's got the level 15 talent. You need to be disarming this Sven as much as possible.
He's down to 30. Let's see what the response is going to be from Nemiga. Do you feel like they're going to force a fight in, the upcoming seconds with not having the second life to work with?
I think they
Melrine?
can, honestly.
An aggressive go. It's going to start onto Panto. Pretty heavy commitment just for the Crystal Maiden, but the Rolling Thunder doesn't have too long of a cooldown, so they're able to secure the kill with ease. They're still ready to go as Gilgear's going to find an opportunity to charge in. Mukushi's well over to the other side. Great blink, though. So bad. Destroys the Stormhammer, so that's a God Strength use. Of course, doesn't have the longest cooldown, but still 70 seconds is a bit of an opportunity for Nemiga.
Quick fingers on so bad. We saw it as Rubik. We're seeing it with the Disruptor, and you know what? I said Puck's not gonna buy a PKB, but man, why not up against this lineup? It's still gonna be quite some time until Sobad gets into the Aghanim Scepter. Thankfully for him, he's got the Philosopher's Stone a little bit quicker, but especially with that Blink Dagger being revealed, they're going to, under the cover of the Invis, unfortunately, even carry the Gem of True Sight so bad, it's not going to be able to see Gilgear in time.
That gem's huge, though. Again, we've said it a lot, but whoever gets to start feels like it's potentially them. That's going to be the one in the new power position. So the fact that you're going to be able to D-ward even easier against one move is really, really big.
Map's real dark for both teams, though.
Yeah.
The only real ward that one move have to play around is that bottom one that you were mentioning. So, I mean, maybe Sobad will get caught out just going on a bit of a D-warding expedition where there's actually pretty much nothing to D-ward right now. So you have to wonder, like, who this is actually going to be benefiting more.
Oh, wow. Both sides, perfect read. Nemiga and move on the point with their scan, well aware of at least where everyone else is currently.
Playing around that vision, not wanting to get picked off too easily. They might find Sobad on the backline though, instantly jumps.
Should be able to get the kill easily. Nemiga's going to be able to protect it for the moment. Cole's going to hold two of them into place. They're putting a lot of attention onto the Disruptor, but they haven't been able to secure the kill. Over the top they go. They'll take away the life of Gilgit, and really awkward start to the fight for one move. Pentamon's going to try and hold them down with a defensive use of the freezing field. Will be cancelled. The blast off as well. Stops the Darkseid from getting the combo out with the chain control. Afterlife. He'll blow up to the mines, and now Mukushi's forced to use a defensive BKB and TP out. But Nemiga, signs of life for them. It's kind of back-to-back fights where they've been able to slowly eke out an advantage, and now it's only a 3,000 deficit.
He did not mean that blast off onto the Darkseid. He just blinked it. He overshot the Magnus skewer, basically. So, you know, was going for a secure onto the Crystal Maiden, but ends up getting a much more valuable kill in that Darkseid, turning the fight further in their favor. They use a buyback on the Disruptor for it, for sure, but, I mean, it gets Violent a level and a half. It gets him that much closer towards BKB, and he's almost level 18 as well. He is being charged, but do they have the follow-up damage for it just yet? I'm not so certain. Yeah, not quite.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
Hang on, what's going to go on? Aincrad of Vajra? Well, they're in a little 1v1 across the map. Surely Gilgi is going to get involved as well, but...
Just give it vision.
I mean, how big of an issue is Puck going to be as the game goes on? Because 10-1 and 4, Puck late game can be a huge threat with Octarine and an overwhelming blink if they don't have ways to respond to him. Do we feel like Nemiga have a decent way to address a late game Puck?
Late game Disruptor is pretty scary, especially one that's level 15. I mean, he popped the BKB pretty early in that engagement on Ankrat. He was still able to obviously you know, get a little bit of a rebuttal out of it, being able to pick off the Disruptor, but that was all he got out of it, you know? It meant that 3 of his other heroes died because he didn't have the capability to just stick in the fight for that little bit extra.
Oh. Never mind. Sorry. I thought Roche was going to spawn top and Radiant just dropped them so well bottom, but no. It's of course that daytime, so it's going to be down on the Radiant side of the map, and they've already got vision set up. Beautifully done from Nemiga. They're starting to get the mines as well to scout out one move. To connect down to bottom. Daedalus just completed from Mukushi. This could be scary. That is a huge item.
They're clumped together though. Gotta be careful. Again, the Roche pit is so small. Gilgi is looking to try and get that charge.
Aincrad. Early BKB. That's huge now from Riot. Rolling Thunder as well. I mean, Nemiga, they've retreated, but Melrin wants to go in. Disjointed between the boys on Radiant. It might cost him Aincrad as well. Core's going to hold the Panko into place. What's the core? Do you want to try and protect
he's on the
position
outside
too? Glimmercape's going to give him some protection for the moment under the cover of the Invis. Saw the damage is there, but the turnaround
what a frostbite
holds. What?
The crit,
1500 crit. Mukushi just blows up Vajra. And now they're going to look for the remaining casts as well as Hellscream caught out next to the outpost. There's no escape. He's going to make him work for the kill. Gilgi, he's already looking for the +1 as well, wanting to try and catch up to some more members. He might get violent. No, they cancel the Morphlings TP, and what can they do to keep alive? Waveforms up shortly. Mukushi's on the prowl when it looks like Violent will just be able to escape.
Oh, barely able to just limp away from that team fight. It was like you said, right? Really early usage of the BKB. They should have felt like they had the commanding position. They had the vision around the top area. They knew where a lot of them were coming from, but instead, just a little bit trigger happy on that BKB. Still another 15 seconds until it's available again for Violent. They want to try and contest this. I mean, I guess they've got the outpost for them to be able to TP too. And maybe they're thinking that without the God Strength, it'll be a bit slow for them to be able to take it, but it's a big call.
It seems like that's going to be the case though. Down to half, and they're going to be able to connect fast enough. And Rolling Thunder should be there to disrupt it. BKB's still at the ready from Mukushi. So he's going to be able to activate this. Hasn't done so just yet. Now with the Static Storm drop down as well, it might catch him off guard. Mukushi is going to try and turn it back around with the God Strength activated. But a retreat is called. Afterlife wants to brawl. The wall's going to get layered down. A lot of damage split between the two, but the Age is going to get claimed from Violent. And it's all Nemiga in this Roche fight. They're going to be able to hit back, and one move in shambles. Afterlife finds a little nook, but he won't be able...
No.
Wait, do they... They didn't see him? I guess he's falling low to the illusions.
Oh.
They'll be able to catch him out with the skewer in the end. As Afterlife, there will be no escaping a slow and painful charge down, as Violent's going to be able to close the distance with the active strike to blow up the health and Nemiga. What a call for them to take that fight.
Yep, they end up getting the Roche kill, they end up getting the Aegis. Not a ton of damage being shown on that recap, unfortunately. That's how long it lasted, but, I mean, Violent, he is the one that's really starting to scale into these later stages. He's kind of on his own in the mid lane. Might be getting caught out here off the back of the silence, but doesn't even need to pop the Manta style.
I feel like...
My only question now these days is, like, what does Morphling actually want? He's going into the Aghanim Scepter. Makes total sense. I was considering, like, do you want a Satanic as well? Just for another thing, to be able to hold on to that BKB for as long as possible until you're actually hit by that Dream Coil, until you see the Sven starting to come in, you know?
What do we feel like the value is then with the Scepter over something like you mentioned?
Couple of good targets, right? You got the SB and the Sven to look to target. Either you become Superman or you become the Flash. You get two choices.
Okay.
Choose your own adventure.
It's a very nice shot as well for Techies. He's popping on a member, charging, nothing the Sven's going to be able to do. You get that disarm. I think it even provides a dispel as well.
Does normally. So, but yeah, you can
does
now
normally?
cast
Okay.
it on someone else.
Well, that could be nice for the Warcry or whatever the buff up you give for the Darkseer. So, see if they're going to be able to replicate that previous success on Nemiga. I believe they did scout out Vajra in the lane. They're going to be able to get the glimpse back on Panto. Pretty great reactions out of the Force staff, though. Going to get some separation. Looks like they will soon be able to get the kill nonetheless. It'll take them a little bit longer than they were hoping for, though.
Panto gets replicated into as well. Not really all that common that you see a CM, the target of the morph, but it was value enough if it means that it opens up the map a little bit for them to be able to take advantage of the fact that they've got this Aegis. So another tier 2 will be falling down. Level 20 on Violent as well as he gets into the waveform attacks targets. I mean, again, he's more than halfway now towards the Aghanim Scepter, so once he picks that one up, you'd have to imagine that Satanic's the item to follow after that, just because of being able to pop it, waveform through, basically be back at full HP at this point. Just used in combination with that, with using the Ags morph into the Sven. Feels pretty good.
Do we feel like at this stage of the game that there's one side maybe a little bit more in the lead than the other? It's very even. No one's got the net worth lead. 2020 kill count. I guess Nemiga are playing with the Ages, but how do we feel overall with this, the 5 men we have?
I really do feel like Sven is going to get into a bit of a rougher time. It's all dependent on who starts the fight. If one move start the fight, it'll go incredibly well for them. Yep. If Nemiga get even a chance to use the Aghanim Scepter on the Morphling, suddenly it goes back the other way, because then you've got all that status resistance. You've stolen all of those stats. You've got the Superman ability from the Sven to be able to use just to turn things to your advantage.
Dire's top tower is under
Also done a
attack.
great job of pushing in multiple lanes as well. So Vajra, he's just up here waiting for someone to be able to skewer back to the rest of the team, and he's very survivable in his own right. Titan Sliver, Harpoon, even building into a casual plate mail for himself.
Dire's structures are
Look to try and smoke and take a fight here from one move. Scepter was just completed for Afterlife. Level 20 as well. Giant shell damage, but importantly, that second illusion you could get from the Morphling could really prove to be an issue. So come on,
This backline jump.
they're going to try and
Great
find it.
vision, though.
We'll start onto the mag. Vajra's going to be able to reposition to the north. Nemiga ducking into the
Just
tree line.
Hitting towers.
And they need to respond.
Power.
And they're going to do it soon. It's going to be Aincrad that wants to use the orb for vision. Gilgear's going to wrap all the way around. Look at the positioning. So bad at
Oh, the
Melring.
bait!
Super defensive Mukushi, though. They're going to try and start onto the Magdis. He's going to be able to reposition thanks to the skewer. Up, he's off the mark as well. So the Radiant Ultimate's not really going to provide them a whole lot. All eyes on the Morphling now to turn this fight back into their favor as Mukushi finds a stun onto 2 with the cleave as well. He blows them up. Mukushi comes in huge with a Sven, but simultaneously Aincrad goes down as well. But one move aren't done just yet. But the backline stab from Gilgit gets the stun onto 2. They've got the Morphling illusion. Nemiga in shambles. They're just getting teared apart one by one. Mukushi, though, still in some trouble. He's going to try and stand strong and turn. Another illusion for them to work with. Mukushi's not dead just yet. Up to the high ground.
Oh, the dodge!
Away. The Sven will live to see another day, but everyone else on one move might be in some trouble as Violent looking for the kill into Gilgit. They've got the gem to cancel the TP. Down goes to Spirit Breaker. Mukushi does live. At least that's something that goes the way of one move in the end.
It's a scary Morphling, isn't it, dude? Like, look at all that damage. 7.2k, and I'm pretty sure that didn't even cover the full fight, right? Like, very minimal impact coming through from the Pangolier. Really good bait, though, in terms of his illusion. He just had it patrolling around in the lane, acting like a human, and that's the target that Munkushi used that initial blink jump onto, and it meant that everything was broken, right? You knew you needed to position yourself. Morphling had an extra bit of time, an extra, 10 or so seconds until that Stormhammer was going to be available again.
Dire are scanning.
Hang on, mid lane. They're setting up on Melrine. As soon as he pops out, Panto's going to be ready. Very close.
I think Panto just got a little bit too close to the tier 2 tower, obviously providing him a little bit of extra information. That circlet from the Morphling is still there. Panto, I don't think, wants to pick it up. And it's not yours anymore. They've made your buyback a little cheaper.
And continuing to not be really favored. On either side, we got some tier 4s soon to buff one team or the other.
It's what we were talking about, though, right? It was whoever got the jump was the happier team. And, well, Nemiga didn't exactly get the jump, but they forced one move's jump to be bad. And so it just gave them so much more of an advantage to be able to turn it around into their favor. You know, if you're not worried about a Sven just jumping onto you and blowing you up, it gives you so much freedom to be able to fight around this. And again, it's not something that they did poorly. It was just really good micro coming out of Melrine on that Pango, using the illusion rune to its fullest effect.
His counterpart though, Aincrad, just saw the damage graph pop up, top of the damage here for the puck. Continuing to be an issue. Red blink going to be picked up surely. One thing that I have no idea about is where'd the second gem go? Crucimaiden just bought one. But Dai had their own gem as well, and I can't see one on the map. I don't see any in the base.
It's on Puck's courier, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I think it just got picked up. I wonder if Gilgit is just going to try and be a full attack speed bot at this stage, because he's level 20. He chose to go for the greater bash chance at level 20 as opposed to the charge movement speed, which a lot of the time people do go down that route. But, I mean, if you're going to go into an Echo Saber, you're basically guaranteeing that you're going to get a bunch of, bashes off with all those attacks you're landing through.
This is huge. Munkushi just hit level 25.
Yep.
Should go strength damage.
Big timing. He's got the Satanic of his own too. Actually going for a little bit more damage on Violent as opposed to the Satanic for himself. Sold the mask of the Morbid Mask.
Aincrad. We've spoken about the importance of vision this game.
Oh, he's going to pop the smoke as well.
Are they going to be nearby to follow up? Aincrad, nice read. Melrine, what the hell, dude? What a read. Sobad's ready to jump in. BKB's going to be able to protect Aincrad for the moment. Off the left side, they want to take Sobad out of the equation. That's a dieback for him, so no disruptor. A 4-on-5 fight. Nemiga, can they do it with a numbers disadvantage? Panto? Put out of position. Melrine sees an opportunity to try and go in with the Rolling Thunder. Meanwhile, in the middle of the fight, they got Violent. The Morphling caught out with his pants down, and now it's an all-out retreat. Vaja won't be able to escape. Gilgit finds the first hit. Bash. Down goes Vaja, and all the hopes of Nemiga with being able to contest this next Roche.
Oh, it's looking rough. I mean, 20 seconds still got left on that next Roche timer, so they're not going to feel the instant hurt for it, but what a perfect target to be able to find the jump onto, right? The one hero that you know doesn't have buyback because they bought back in the previous engagement, and they just had to back, man. They saw that Munkushi had popped the God Strength. They could probably assume that they have vision around the area if that's the target that they're able to go onto, and then they just walked into the meat grinder.
And that means now the puck is getting closer to the level 25, which I have to imagine he goes the Dreamcore Pierce's debuff. So that's going to be a big issue for the Pangolier inside some of these fights.
He's got Remnant's Brooch as well. Any Ghost Scepters? Doesn't seem like it.
Radiant's middle
Not yet.
tower is under attack.
He's playing out of his mind. Dismissed the Ankrad. Octarine completed. And Roche is now for the taking as well. So you got the Scepter. Look to work with. Who do we want to see the Scepter given over to?
Don't hate it on the Sven. Means that you've got double jump. I mean, a lot of that time in the previous fight when Kushi was just waiting around for his blink to be back off cooldown, couldn't even afford to give it over to the SP, you know, if he's gone into this this Echo Saber build.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
Yeah.
Like, you now have a scaling support, whereas you compare to the techies. I mean, Hellscream's still providing a lot.
Wait, who's the support here? SP's 4th on net worth, dude.
What? Alright, yeah. I mean, definitely the Scepter's going to help out Giga a lot in that regard, so...
Look at all the spell damage as well, coming from the Timeless Relics. So remember, it's spell damage, and all of your abilities are spells. It's not magic, so things like the Greater Bash, things like the Charge of Darkness, it's just going to be amped up that much more. Even just the duration, with how much you're basically guaranteed to get these bashes off the back of the Echo Saber and the level 20 talent.
Man, a couple of fights in this game is just blown out of control. 20k lead, and I feel like we're just...
Are scanning.
one after the other, we're continuing to speak about the timings that one move just got. They just got a sweep blink on Moonkushi. They just got a Hex as well on Afterlife. And for Radiant...
Yeah, the Ags.
guess
That's the big thing. You gotta wait for them to make a mistake, because justifiably, one move should be feeling very confident right now. They've got the Aegis, they've got all these huge timings for themselves. Now is the time to high ground. If not now, then when? So I really want to see Sobad just going nowhere near anywhere that could give vision. You got to keep this a mystery.
So I think one thing that we saw in game one, where we don't really see in this game, is that there was a response to like the mag jump in with Skewer with the Rubik. This game, you don't particularly have that. I mean, you can BKB anyway from Vajra, so that is one thing that's going to make it very difficult for one move to crack the high ground. Just blink, skewer, RP under the tower, and Violent will have plenty of damage to blow up that hero.
I'm just waiting for Gilgear to use the planar pocket on like a morph or on the or on the glimpse or something like that. Just be like, nope, it's me actually.
For the people that haven't experimented with this very weird Aghanim shard, not saying myself, would you like to explain it?
You just, if someone targets you with something, you're like, nope, it's me, actually. I mean, it's not like morphing into an SB is the worst thing for the Morphling, so it
Top tower is under attack.
feels alright. You got to be pretty on point, though, on Gilgear for that to happen. I haven't exactly been watching his perspective, but I'm not even sure if he's used it a single time.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's going to be an approach towards the top side. They don't want to care about mid.
Oh,
There's the attempt. Sewer deep in. Of course, he's got the Aegis,
lot of
but
damage.
they just blew him up. Violet still used the
Disruptor's
BKB
there, man.
unnecessarily, but with the Static Storm to sit up, there's going to be no response. That is a huge defense from Nemiga, exactly like we were mentioning with the skill play. Now, Ankrad, he's going to get glimpse back as well. Phase shift, not going to matter.
No buyback.
Oh.
Hey, this is the power of information, or rather lack of, right? So bad, he stayed so hidden, so far back in that. Didn't use any of his spells towards the start of that fight until they'd already secured the kill off the back of a great skewer back by Vajra there. He brings himself up to the level 25 too, so now he can just look to be a lot more of a right-click threat in his own right. Just gonna walk it down mid. Puck just got the buyback though. Still though,
You could...
that's Sven. Can you actually convert a lot of this?
I was going to say maybe Gilgear could cut, but I mean, both mid and top lane are shoved in.
He's still
they
gonna
will get...
try.
See what the response is going to be.
Top towers are under attack.
Let's go. How much objective damage are they going to take here? Full set of barracks now up top. This mid tower is going to fall at a rapid rate as well with the Morphling damage.
It's not going to help him for this turnaround, but it's only 20 seconds until the next bounty rune is up. You had Afterlife go and secure the one just then, which brings Sven 40 gold away from buyback. If he gets the next one, it'll give him enough.
He's going to get surrounded. Really nicely done. So bad Invasia able to get a glimpse of where the Darkseid is playing. Should be able to secure with a kill. Back to mid though. Violent might go down. Oh, stands strong.
The
looks
support.
to turn. Gilgi with the cheese. He's actually going to go in because Mukushi's back alive. They're able to get the stun onto Hellscream, so at least the Morphling's able to escape. So in the end, it's going to be a trade across the map, but of course you did lose Afterlife as well.
Okay. I thought Techies would get away. The hero's busted enough as it is. Surely it can't survive this late in the game. But yeah, 2 lanes of Rax. It sucks to be able to, you know, not finish the game in its entirety just there and secure a series at 2-0 that, you know, you might have thought might go the full distance, but, I mean, you'll take it. TD as well on the Sven. How much more big does this man need to be? Might even be able to catch people off guard as well. You know, assuming that God Strength is on cooldown, you don't really want to fight into this, but, I mean, if you've got a Sven just running at you with a double damage, that's basically as good. Can they go for the smoke here?
You really don't want to fight though with Dark. I guess 4v4, apologies.
Radiant are scanning.
Another Tormentor. Give it over to, you would assume, CM. Might go to the Darkseer at this rate, but you would hope CM gets a little bit of love. Here as well, level 25 now on the SB. Darkseer. Poor CM. Panto's been playing so well, dude, and he just can't even get a little one, and I'm sure that's what the voice line was like from Gilgear.
What a topsy-turvy game we got. See, you know, the fact that one move after that, what, third Roche had a 20k lead, they still haven't even cracked the high ground thanks to incredible defense, and as a result, Nemiga, even though they've got the deficit, they're the ones with all the objective damage to their name.
Asha's doing a ton of damage.
Might be in some trouble though. BKB's going to be expended, looking for the RP target. Might turn to Mukushi.
You're very happy. If you could just run.
Can they do so though? Mag, Hex is out. They're super hesitant, but the BKB's on cooldown. I mean, we're so bad. Disruptor's ready on the wings, waiting for an opportunity with the Static Storm. Could be clutch to turn the fight back around. Gilgear onto the Morphling they go. Use control for the moment. Mukushi gets to drop the Static Storm. It's onto multiple RP as well. With Violet standing strong, they're going to have plenty of damage to blow up the Darkseer. Sven's gone too, and why not add another one? Glimpse back Panto. At least for one move, all of these heroes do have buyback, but this game is completely turned, and all the momentum is in Nemiga's favor.
Yeah, you got the buyback, but Sven, still 25 seconds for that God Strength. It just... I said they had to go for the full-on run, but good on Nemiga for being able to back off just far enough, because one move feel pressured to take that fight. They've committed so heavily, right? They've used the God Strength, they've used the BKB on 2 different targets, they've used the Rolling Thunder, they even used a Refresher that Gilgear's been able to pick up at this stage just to try and go for that chain stun, but it wasn't enough. They were able to reposition themselves for another great Static Storm by Sobad.
Dire's bottom tower.
How do you deal with this man now? Something needs to change, right? These Static Storms are just, they're completely turning these fights around.
I mean, you know where they're generally set up, so it's about finding that full-on wraparound to be able to find the backlines.
Triple buyback, heavy commitment, and they get nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a disruptor. They can't just bring them back. They're like, all right, let's wait for Roche. Why not? Lanes are going to be pushing in. We've already taken your tier 3, and now you've given us a big win condition.
Wow.
Even with those buybacks, the net worth lead didn't really grow that much. They'll also see as well that they've had an Observer Ward that's basically had 3/4 of its duration just sitting in the base the entire time. So they're like, man, probably should have de-warded that. Right now, they're just choking them out right now. Playing around that high ground vision. Techies playing around the bottom side, probably just going to lay down the proximity mine right on top of where Roshan's about to respawn. They're going to be rewarded for that good play as well in 5 seconds. So things just on the up and up for Nemiga. just a matter of closing out the game.
Because the one nice thing for one move is that they do have a lineup that has a lot of ease with being able to defend the base against super creeps and eventually, potentially against megas as well. So we'll be able to get the lanes in a position where they can look to make a play off the back of the smoke.
I really like this move. Like, it's all about finding the full wraparound, man. They've got to just jump into the disruptor first every single time. So it's either hard right or hard left. They can't go through that main stairs where they've got the Techies bomb set up.
Look at his positioning. So bad. He's all the way down to the south, putting himself in such a difficult position to get caught out. Dashes off the mark with the RP. It's a pretty decent start for one move. But where's Munkushi? Sven's trying to find an angle to get the jump in, but the static storm so bad. He starts before the Sven's able to do so. There's going to be no follow-up inside it though, so Sven's okay for the moment. Munkushi turns. A BKB with the gold strength activated. He's able to try and find the stun, but Munkushi's getting controlled. Unable to right-click. Tassam's out now as well. A secondary dieback, and as a result, there's going to be no way one move can come out on top in this fight by the Roche Pit, and probably in the game as well, as all their hopes are on Ankrad and Gilgear's buyback.
Yeah, they've even just using the boots of travel in on multiple heroes to be able to just go straight into that mid lane. Looking to try and put a little bit of pressure on as well, just keep them away on the back of the Techies while Vaja does the dirty work. Taking out the rest of the base, and this is going to be a 2-0 for Nemiga. What a performance from them.
It's a huge victory. And Crad, what can he do? They're going to call it not even an attempt. G's are dropped, and like you said, a 2-0 victory. One move, they were 2-0 prior to this series. They're going to, as a result though, their first defeat of the tour. And Nemiga, that is huge for them as well. 2-2, and a pretty
smiles ear to ear. Look at those cabs. You know, just big grins across the face. I mean, why not, right? You probably weren't the favorites. We saw through the EGB odds, they weren't the favorites in either of those two games, but I just thought their team fighting, especially around Sobat, he played so well this entire series, just off the back of his positioning, not giving away too much of his lives for free. Like, only 5 deaths against a lineup with a Spirit Breaker and a Puck and a Sven with Blink Dagger is huge.
Yeah, it's incredible performance from Nemiga once again. I mean, we had a treat in, game one was, 27 minutes, so it ended relatively fast. This one went 54 minutes, a very even barn burner between these two teams. The fact that we're able to get such an action-packed game is always a treat to watch, and Nemiga, it's got to give them a bit of breathing room as well, because if there was a threat of them dropping down to 1-3, they still have some other difficult opponents. I still think they got a verse like Bet Boom and Spirit, some of those other really difficult teams in Eastern Europe. So Nemiga, it's kind of a sigh of relief here with this victory.
It's potentially like a tiebreaker forcer, you know? You would assume that they're probably going to finish ahead of Aleikum, but, you know, with the victory against one move, this could be that extra value game, right? Not only does it get you a win, but it denies one of the teams that you could potentially be competing against from a win themselves. And, I mean, if they keep performing like this, they could take some games off some of the higher teams, right? They lost 1-2 to 9 Pandas, so clearly taking it far against them. You've got Virtus Pro left to play against. I think that would probably be the easiest of their other games. But, you know, BetBoom and Spirit, if they play like this, they're certainly toppable as well. Yeah,
there's still a lot of question marks around some of those top teams, right? We're yet to see VP. They haven't had their debut. In fact, of course, we get to see them in our next series. And for BetBoom, well, there's still a lot of question marks around with the Pure and the Nightfall swap. You know, how well is that going to work out? Of course, they have been able to win one series so far, but can they continue on with a lot of expectations people had of these teams? So definitely Eastern Europe is not set in stone with like your likes of Spirit, BetBoom, and 9 Pandas taking those 3 slots. It is a very competitive region. Western Europe gets a lot of talk, and I think Eastern Europe needs to as well. But for us, it's going to be another longish break, about 45 minutes until our final series of the night. But it is one that you guys will want to wait for. Virtus Pro up against BetBoom. It is a blockbuster to close out our day 4 here of the summer tour. We'll see you guys after the break.